Hello students, we are going to revise the second chapter from history, and your chapter 2 is from trade to territory, how the Britishers came to India as trader and how they have established their power and took over the territory. So that we are going to learn. Let's have a quick recap. Your first topic is East India Company comes to East. So when they came, Aurangzeb was the last powerful ruler of the Mughal Empire who established control over a large part of India. After his death, that was in 1707, Delhi was no longer remained an effective center of powers. Governors and landlords, they asserted their power and control to establish the regional kingdom. So the whole empire which was under the Aurangzeb, so it was asserted by the governors and the landlords. So by the power and the control, they established their regional kingdom. By the second half of the 18th century, the British, which came to India as a small trading company, started emerging as the new power on the political horizon. So they came as a trader, as I already said. The East India Company acquired the sole right to trade with the East. Now how they got this right? By acquiring a charter from the Queen Elizabeth, the Queen of England. So no other European company will compete over here, or they were not having any rights to trade in the India. Vasco da Gama, a Portuguese explorer, he has discovered the sea route to India in 1498. So all the trading companies were interested in silk, cotton and the spices that were in great in demand in their places. So they were coming over here in India to get this. So competition among the European companies pushed up the price and reduced their profit. So we cannot say only the European companies were coming to India for the silk, cotton or the spices. There were others too, like Portuguese, French and Dutch people. So they were also coming to India, as we have already read in this point. So they were also coming in India for these things. So the only way to maintain profit was by eliminating the rivals. So European were facing the problem by the competitions from the other competitors or traders. So they want to eliminate the rivals. So this resulted in fierce battles between the trading companies along with the intense conflict with the local rulers. To do that, what the European has done, they started fortifying the regions where they were trading and also acquiring the power. So nobody was allowed. They were sinking the ships of the other traders. They were blockading the routes. So there were many ways how the Europeans were fighting with the rivals. So this also intensified the conflict with the local rulers. East India Company begins the trade in Bengal. The British set up the first English factory on the bank of the river Hooghly in 1651 along with the warehouse. Warehouse means the storehouse where they used to keep the goods what they are purchasing from India to export by ship. So after purchasing it, they are keeping it in the warehouse, or you can call it as a godown, and a company offices where they have set up their factory. As trade expanded, the merchants and traders were asked to come and settle near the factory. So English people, British asked to settle nearby the factories, to whom the merchants and traders were asked. The company began fortification around the settlement in 1696. So the region where they were trading, they started fortifying that regions. The company acquired zamindari right of 3 villages in 1698 by bribing Mughal officials, and they got the sole rights to fortify because they have purchased these villages and fortified that regions, and all the traders were under the company's rule. The company even persuaded Aurangzeb to grant duty-free trading rights, and he allowed. But what happened, that was not only the region where they were doing the trading as duty free, but the other region was also considered as duty free according to the company, but it was not allowed by the Aurangzeb. Official refused to pay the duty on private trade, which resulted in enormous revenue loss for the Bengal. So this was resulted because they were losing the revenue as they were not paying the taxes. How trade led to battles. The conflict between the company and the Nawab of Bengal intensified. So with which Nawabs? After the death of Aurangzeb, the other strong rulers from Mughals were the Bengal was ruled by the Murshid Qali Khan, then later on Alivardi Khan, and the last ruler was the Siraj-ud-Dawla. So they refused to give any kind of concessions to the company. The Nawab demanded large tribute for the company's right to trade, denied it to right to mint the coins in the names of British, and extending the fortification. So all this was demanded by the Nawab. The company declared that the demand of the local officials were unjust and the trade could flourish only if the duties were removed. So if they want to flourish the trade, then these duties should be removed, then only they will flourish the trade. And the company called the official demands as unjust. Their conflict led to a regular confrontation and finally resulted into famous Battle of Plassey. The Battle of Plassey. Siraj-ud-Dawla became the Nawab of Bengal after the death of Alivardi Khan. This worried the company as they wanted a puppet ruler who would grant them trade concession and privileges. So they even tried to help one of the Siraj-ud-Dawla's rival to become the Nawab. So who was that? Hope you remember that Mir Jafar. This made Siraj-ud-Dawla angry and he asked the company to stop meddling in the political affairs, stop building forts and to pay the revenue. Later Siraj-ud-Dawla attacked the English factory at Kazim Bazar, captured company's official, locked the warehouse and disarmed the Englishmen and blockaded the English ship. On hearing this, forces under the command of Robert Clive were sent to negotiate. So at that time Robert was the governor of Madras. Failed negotiation with the Nawab led Robert Clive stand against the Siraj-ud-Dawla at Plassey, where Siraj-ud-Dawla was defeated by their army. Now Clive managed to secure the support of Mir Jafar. So how the Siraj-ud-Dawla has lost the battle? Because the Clive has got the support from Mir Jafar, one of the rival of Siraj-ud-Dawla, and he was one of the commander also of the Siraj-ud-Dawla in lieu of Nawab's position. But this English or Britishers has promised him that if they support the British, then the next Nawab of Bengal would be the Mir Jafar. So he has supported the Britishers. Now Mir Jafar was made the Nawab as they have promised already after Siraj-ud-Dawla's assassination. The company soon realized that even puppet Nawabs were not that helpful as they needed to maintain a basic appearance of dignity in front of the subjects. So what they have thought, that was not being fulfilled by the puppets. When Mir Jafar protested, he was deposed by the company and replaced by Mir Kazim. The Mir Kazim too was complaining, which led to the Battle of Buxar, where he was defeated and Mir Jafar was reinitiated as the Nawab of Bengal. So as I said, Mir Kazim too was complaining, which led to the Battle of Buxar, where he was defeated and Mir Jafar was reinstated as the Nawab of Bengal. After Mir Jafar's death, the company realized that the puppet Nawab would be of no help to them, so they intended to be Nawab themselves. So because the puppet were not helping out as the British wanted, so they intended themselves as a Nawab. Now the Mughal emperor appointed the company as the Diwan of Bengal, and it helped them to use the vast revenue resources of Bengal instead of buying goods. So they don't have to buy the goods because these resources were being used, revenue resources. These revenues began to use to purchase cotton, silk, textiles from India, maintain company's troop, and meet the cost of building the company forts and offices at the Calcutta. So everything was being done by this revenue collections which were being collected in Bangalore of Bengal. So now they don't have to bring or to carry money from their places. Company officials become Nabobs as they intended to be Nawab themselves. So the company thus acquired more power and authority. The company official wanted to live like Nawab and thus forced the actual Nawab to give land and vast sum of money to company official. This is how the company official amassed huge amount of wealth in India. So officials who managed to return with the wealth began to lead a flashy lives and flaunted their riches. They were called as Nawab in England. Company rule expand. How it expanded. So between 1757 and 1857, the East India Company, instead of direct military attack, they used a way, that is political, economical and the diplomatic method to influence the state. So they were not attacking with the military. They used this way to rule on the regions or to rule on the states. Residents in the Indian states were appointed after the Battle of Buxar that was held in 1764. Through the residents, the company directly started interfering in the internal affairs of the Indian states. So this residents has given the rights to the company. Company also forced states to agree a subsidiary alliances, that is, they were not to be protected by company, but they had to pay for the subsidiary forces, and if they failed, a part of their territory were taken away. So the Indian rulers were not allowed to keep their armed force. This service will be provided by the company. So that was the rule under the subsidiary alliances. And to get this service, they have to pay the tribute. If they fail to give away the tribute or to pay, then they have to give away their a part of territory, or it could be taken away by the company. Next is Tipu Sultan, the Tiger of Mysore. Mysore grew powerful under the leadership of powerful leaders like Hyder Ali and his son Tipu Sultan. So Mysore controlled the profitable trade of Malabar coast and consisting of pepper and cardamom. Tipu Sultan stopped the export of sandalwood, pepper and cardamom from his port and disallowed all local merchants from trading with the company. So this is the way how he has protested against the Britishers. He also modernized his army with the help of French. So modern tools and weapons were being used with the help of, and they learned to use that weapons with the help of French. So he has modernized his army. The company fought 4 wars with the Mysore from 1767 to 1799. In the last war, the Battle of Seringapatnam, the company ultimately won the Tipu Sultan and Tipu Sultan was killed. The state was placed under the rule of Wadayars. After this battle, a former ruling dynasties and subsidiary alliances was imposed on the state. War with Marathas. So after the battle with the Tipu Sultan, they had a war with Marathas. Since the late 18th century, the company wanted to destroy the Maratha power. They were divided into many states under the different chiefs belonging to the dynasties like Sindhya, Holkar, Gaikwad and Bhosle. They were held together in alliance under the Peshwa. The Marathas were subdued in a series of war. The first war ended in 1782 with neither side winning. The second war was known as Anglo-Maratha War that was held in 1803 to 05, resulted in British gaining Orissa and the territories north of the Yamuna, including Agra and Delhi. The third Anglo-Maratha War that was fought between 1817 to 19 crushed Maratha power. So the company gained complete control over the territories of the south of the Vindhya. So they won against the Marathas also. The next policy they have implemented, that was the claim to paramountcy. Now what is paramountcy, that we are going to learn. So from early 19th century, the company pursued an aggressive policy of territorial expansion. Under Lord Hastings, a new policy, the paramountcy, was initiated, which claimed that the authority of the company was supreme. Because if any kingdom is there, the supreme power goes in the hands of king. But here, with the new policy that was initiated by Lord Hastings, the supreme power or authority would be in the hands of company. It also said that in order to protect its interests, it was justified in annexing any Indian kingdom. So like this way, by implementing this policy, they have annexed many Indian kingdom. So this policy was challenged by Rani Channamma of Kittur in Karnataka through arms. The struggle was carried on by the Rayana, a poor chowkidar in Kittur, after Rani's death in prison. Control over northwest India was maintained by the British, fearing the Russian expansion in Asia. The company was also afraid the expansion of Russia from in the Asia. So they also had a war with them. After fighting a long war, indirect company rule was imposed in Afghanistan. Sindhya was annexed in 1843. Presence of Maharaja Ranjit Singh stopped British expansion in Punjab. So he was considered as the powerful ruler of the Punjab. But it was after the death of Maharaja Ranjit Singh that Punjab was annexed after two prolonged war. So up to here the claim of paramountcy. The next part in and next topic is in part 2. Wait for the next video. Thank you.